Today, we'll be talking about e-signatures with Syngrafii's Scott Nettie and how it's gaining momentum, especially during these trying times of distancing and remote legal proceedings. Will these changes stick? Stay around to learn more. Welcome to Law Firm Weekly. It's really good to have you here. Scott Nettie is a practicing lawyer with Coles in Ontario and Nova Scotia. His professional career has included private practice in Toronto as a senior counsel with Canada's second largest bank, the Toronto-Dominion Bank, and several years on the bench of the Superior Court of Justice in Ontario as the registrar in bankruptcy. He is currently the general counsel with Syngrafii, advocating for cutting-edge e-signatures, video technology, and non-repudiation. Scott, welcome to Law Firm Weekly.
Thanks, Shai. Very happy that you invited me to be here.
Where are you in the world right now? You're definitely not in Toronto.
No, I'm not. I'm actually headquartered just outside of Buffalo, New York, in the beautiful Niagara frontier of Western New York, not too far from my old haunts in Canada. I left Toronto a few years ago for Welland, Ontario. So,
very nice. I can only imagine that crossing the border right now, back to Canada or back and forth, is not the easiest thing to do.
No, it's not. Ironically, it's been more difficult to cross into Canada than to come back into the States. The Americans have been quite good about, with the thickened border, that as long as you have status here, they're letting you come back in. So that may change with New York's quarantine that came out in the news today. So we'll have to see what happens in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, I have a niece in New York, and I'm really hoping to see her soon enough, and I love road trips in the U.S. Wanted to move on and talk a little bit about Syngrafii, obviously. Maybe you can give us the elevator pitch, a little bit of history and, in very quick kind of general terms, what is the organization, what is this company, and the products that it has?
Sure, Shai. Well, the tagline for the company, really, that would be the key part of an elevator pitch is Syngrafii, with its inked paper, whether it's used in a video signing room or not, provides a one-time biometrically accurate wet ink signature in an e-environment. And that really pulls together everything that we do and all three facets of the platforms and equipment that we offer.
What I wanted to do is go and do a quick demo showing one of your flagship products. But before I do, the company has a really interesting backstory, if I understand it correctly. I think that somewhere, and maybe I'm mistaken, so please correct me, but I think that the famed author Margaret Atwood was kind of like one of the early inventors or people who basically came up with some of the ideas that influenced Syngrafii's future.
Yes, no, that's absolutely correct. Margaret is a co-founder of the company along with our current CEO, Matthew Gibson. Margaret came to Matthew and said, I have a very busy book signing, book tour schedule. And with this, new then, we're talking mid 2000s, with new things like Skype and the internet, there's not some way I could interact with my fans at book signings across Canada, which is a vast country, without leaving my home in Toronto. And so they invented for her the long pen device, which is still part of our offering today. The first long pen device took, I'm told, 4 men to carry it and move it around. It now sits on the corner of your desk with complete USB connectivity. It is a robotic pen. And I tell people, think Canadarm, another well-known Canadian invention. So the long pen device enables you to control a $1.99 Bic pen from your touch device from anywhere in the world. And you can write a novel if you want. Margaret's use case was she could sit in her home and meet with you, say, Shai, at a book signing in Thunder Bay and talk to you on video like we're doing now. And then we would put the book under the long pen. Margaret would write on her touch tablet, very nice to meet you, Shai. So glad you loved the book. I'm sure you'll enjoy the sequel. Margaret. And the long pen device would inscribe that. Back to our elevator tagline of biometrically accurately, it would inscribe it, and it will inscribe it, using all of the biometric touch points that a forensic handwriting analyst would look at to compare that handwriting that the long pen device is causing to happen at your request, your instruction, with a sample where you hold the pen directly. So it tracks the pressure, the speed, and the angle of attack of everything that you wrote, including your signature.
So this is a great segue And I wanted to obviously talk about your, I guess I'm calling it your kind of flagship product, which is the virtual signing room, right? That's how it's called.
The video signing room, yes, yes.
So maybe I'm going to run it now. Maybe you can give us like a running commentary on what we're seeing here. It's a demo.
The entire screen you're now sharing will be in the video that people will be watching now. You'll see this is actually the playback of of the video component of the master audit file of a video signing room session. So let me step back. When you go into our video signing room, it's much like many of the other video environments that people are using now in COVID times and to work from home, work remotely. And it allows you to go into a video meeting space, much like the one we're using Shy right now to record this interview, and to share your desktop. Okay, the viewers are saying, well, that's fine. I can do that in lots of our competitors in video space. But what you can't do in those video environments is execute signatures. You'll see here now it says waiting for Ravi Dave to sign on this compliance audit certificate. And if the video gets played along here long enough, you should see after Ravi stops speaking there in the video, his signature fly into that space where it says waiting for Ravi Dave. We allow you to execute your documents inside the video environment. So we've married the electronic signature platforms that many of the viewers are familiar with and have had to start using for remote signatures with a video environment. The video environment, as you can see, is completely recorded. This is the playback of a recorded component of a video signing room demonstration. What you're seeing here is, like many of our competitors on the electronic signing, we do enable proxy signatures. So we will take your biometrically accurate wet ink signature, if you will, in an e-environment, or at the document owner's control. That can be a type to sign or a click to sign, depending on the level of security that you want. This video that you're seeing in front of us now becomes part of the master audit file, whether one uses our standalone signature service, which we call inked paper, or inked paper inside of our video signing room, as is happening here. A master audit trail on our transaction compliance server is created and is available to the host and at the host's determination participants at that meeting or to a signing, so that you will have a permanent record of the document that was shared in the video signing room or signed standalone in inked paper. Documents that were used for identification. Here you're seeing in the compliance audit certificate an example of taking a picture and having that document put permanently into the compliance audit certificate. All of this is done using your smart device. So the signature that you see appearing here in this demonstration will have been signed on a standard smartphone. We send a link to your smartphone, again, whether it's inside this video environment or in our standalone inked paper, and we turn any touch device, smartphone, pad, Surface computer, anything that you can touch the screen on with your finger or a stylus, into a signing pad. The same signing pad we're all using at the likes of Lowe's or Home Depot to sign our credit card signatures. We turn your device into that and can do that anywhere in the world. So you can send documents in a standalone, like other e-signature platforms, to anywhere in the world to have them signed, or proxy type to sign, or click through to sign. But if you have them signed, back to our elevator pitch at the beginning, you have a biometrically accurate one-time use signature in an e-environment.
I can only imagine that any transition to automation, not the least something that is so fundamental, as you mentioned, signature is such a fundamental aspect of any contractual proceedings for millennia. Is there a particular resistance, at least up until this point? I can only imagine things are getting a little easier now that people realize, hey, we have distancing issues and we should start really seriously considering those kind of technologies. But are there any traditional resistance points, either from law firms or the court system? What is it that you're facing out there when you're talking to your potential clients?
That's a really good question, because we've faced those, and then because of the current worldwide pandemic of the coronavirus and COVID-19, we've seen those pressure points start to crumble and fall away. So let me give you some examples. as lawyers watching this, whether Canadian or American, I imagine the same issues apply in other common law jurisdictions. We execute documents. Well, executing documents is not a problem because most first world legal systems have e-commerce laws that allow for all kinds of documents to be electronically signed. In Ontario, for example, residential house deals have been signed using electronic signatures, proxy signatures actually, for years now with TREB and ARIA. And there's some carve-outs from those. But then as lawyers, we get into things like notarizing documents, administering and commissioning oaths for sworn documents. And most jurisdictions, certainly all of them in Canada, and still I think 30 of the 50 in America, require you to be in the presence of the notary or the commissioner for oaths when you have the oath administered and when you execute the document. So that was a pressure point for us. And governments were starting to move towards changing the definition of in the presence of to include in the virtual presence of for video technology. As we moved into the 21st century, video technologies have become more prevalent, they've become more secure, more common, people are used to them, they want to use them. COVID has accelerated that. We have found, in Ontario, for example, there was an emergency order before Bill 165, which I think became Bill 170, passed into law to change, waiting for regulations to change the definition of in the presence of in the Notaries Act, Commissioner for Oaths Act. We saw similar movements taking place in other provinces. Under emergency legislation in some, British Columbia, the courts promulgated their own rule for commissioning affidavits remotely. We saw the Law Society of Ontario come out and basically say it won't sanction any lawyers for executing affidavits using video technology, even out ahead of the actual government in that province. And that's gone across. In New York, where I'm presently housed, same thing, the governor issued an executive order that made all of this possible, which is significant when you consider that the state includes New York City, one of the largest banking, financial, legal cities in the world, probably if it's even second only to London, England, where that's all now presently legal. And that we're finding traction with law firms who right now are using the duct tape solutions. And when we present that and talk about e-discovery, they sort of sit back and go, that's worth a lot to us. And when we talk to compliance departments of big banks, insurance companies, we're in discussions in the States with a large brokerage house that does millions of annual compliance documents just to confirm the account every year, where they like the idea of having that in one place, because when it comes to litigation or the SEC, there it is, one file, put it on a thumb drive, there's the entire transaction that took place.
Well, I think you covered quite comprehensively all that can be covered in 15 minutes. I am going to have links below to Syngrafii and your products so people can explore it a little further. But I think that we got a really good taste. And obviously, anything that is to do with distance management, if you will, anything that is bringing this kind of technology and security to the situation that we're in, and we will continue to be in, unfortunately, as if this recording for at least a year, more than likely, this is just my prediction, I think is extremely valuable. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. You covered this topic beautifully, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Oh, thank you, Shai. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and you stay well.
Thank you.